Second in the lineup is the group working with the City of San Antonio. Tom Abdallah is our faculty advisor. Liz?
Hello. Let me set my own timer here. Hi, thank you for joining us tonight. I know most of you had to, but thank you nonetheless. So I'm really excited to share our work this semester in scaling the Material Innovation Center, centering equity of material access for the City of San Antonio. We had a really fantastic team this semester. Everyone brought something different from their backgrounds, and it was really honestly an honor to work with everyone. Tim did a really great job as our project manager of leading the ship. And big thank you to Tom for helping to guide us and really taking advantage of all of our strengths and like pushing us in the right direction here. So this is the vision of a circularity hub of innovation in the City of San Antonio. This is kind of this broad picture of what may happen, of what will ideally happen. And it has things like an advanced makerspace, a building materials marketplace, for like trade of salvaged materials, renewable energy systems, a tool lending library. It's really kind of this hub for sustainability, and this is the goal for the City of San Antonio. This is what we have today, the Material Innovation Center. It is run through the office of City of San Antonio's Office of Historic Preservation. And there are three main programs within the MIC, as I'm going to refer to it. The Living Heritage Trades Academy, which is basically like workforce development for deconstruction of materials, the Community Tool Library, and the Deconstruction and Salvage Material Receivership Program, which is kind of like a materials marketplace for salvaged materials. But everything in the Material Innovation Center at this point is kind of in its startup phase. It's really relying on some patchwork funding and a really limited bandwidth scope for the current employees. There's really only one full-time employee equivalent, a lot of individuals working together part-time to try and make this mission work. The Material Innovation Center has its roots in this amazing deconstruction ordinance from 2022 that essentially dictates that any project within a specific scope that applies for a demolition permit has to actually work towards a deconstruction instead of demolition, so like taking it down brick by brick. That created this need for the Material Innovation Center in training individuals to be able to deconstruct these projects and also being able to take these materials and have a hub for material repair, reuse, and reimagination. So our client ask here was really, how do we take this current Material Innovation Center, something really lovely in what it is right now, and scale it up to something like this, while also considering how to prioritize community and equity of material access. So our group took this and really took a step back to look at what are the foundations for growth in general. Of course, at the bottom of anything is money, funding and revenue generation. And then right on top of that is operational maturity. What that means for the MIC is things like standard operating procedure for data and also material assessment. And really creating this concept of what the MIC is currently and the role it plays in the City of San Antonio today. That's the kind of proof of concept of the MIC itself. And once that operational maturity foundation is built, that really lends itself to expanding on partnership building, different stakeholders getting engaged. And then so these two bottom foundations are really mutually reinforcing. And then once those two are in place, looking to expand, and then going back to our broader vision of placemaking, creating that hub for sustainability in the City of San Antonio. So what are the key barriers to those foundations? In terms of operational maturity, already addressed, got some staff capacity constraints here. Value proposition clarity, the MIC is doing some really fantastic work already, and a lot of it is hard to quantify, the value of what's already going on and the potential for value in the future when it's scaling up. And then from a funding and revenue generation side, funder diversification, and then there's really not a lot of revenue being generated at this moment, or any at all, so we proposed a handful of different revenue models for the MIC to kind of build that foundation. Our methodology, we created 5 different work streams and had 21 stakeholder interviews and over 80 literature reviews to have these deliverables for our client, handful of resources and recommendations. Our recommendations, we created a 3-horizon framework for our recommendations. And for the purpose of this presentation, I'm really just going to focus on the Horizon 1 optimization. So just looking to optimize the current systems that the MIC has, given the current systems and funding in place. So we have a bunch of recommendations, just going to highlight a few on these slides. Strategic expansion of prospective funders, I'm going to touch base on that in the next slide. Aligning with the Port of San Antonio on a leasing model, we put together a model to kind of, the Port of San Antonio is the landlord for the MIC, to kind of assess the open space within the Port of San Antonio and the potential possibilities for revenue generation in leasing that space and partnering with the Port of San Antonio. Partnering with local schools to increase volunteer capacity and establishing an SOP and taxonomy for material inventory data. Here's one of our lovely deliverables for the MIC team. We drafted some quite beautiful letters of inquiry in a lot of different types of programs to make it easy for the MIC to just kind of plug and chug, send to prospective funders and try to open up a door for conversations around funding. Just trying to remove a barrier to access here and make it as easy as possible for them to start these conversations, given their team capacity constraints. Scaling up the MIC innately means scaling up equity in the city of San Antonio, given the relationship between the city of San Antonio and workforce development and also affordable housing. The city of San Antonio has a goal to produce 13,000 new affordable housing units between 2021 and 2031. So we really wanted to be able to put a value to the potential that the MIC has to kind of help in that scale. So just highlighting one aspect of our cost-benefit analysis over the next 30 years, if the MIC provides just 10%, this is scenario A, just 10% of the dimensional lumber for affordable housing projects, there would be a potential net benefit of around $12.3 million, and that's in things like emissions reduction and cost reduction overall, a lot of different components there, but really just want to showcase the value that this has to the community and the potential for reinvestment of this unused revenue. We also created a benchmarking analysis. Apparently there are a lot of other organizations doing very cool stuff like this in the United States. So we took a look at a bunch of other organizations. And just a couple of takeaways here. Community engagement is pivotal for all of these organizations. And some of the things we noticed is that most of them are really utilizing volunteer capacity to the max. So just being able to reach out and get volunteering and marketing themselves in a way that really founds this like community engagement is really valuable. And also in getting engaged with schools from like younger levels all the way up to universities. And then for on-site partner businesses, Repurpose Savannah has a really lovely in-house carpenter and artisan team that helps to kind of process their materials on site. And the Innovation Barn leases out some of its space to local nonprofits, helping to both connect to the community and generate a small amount of revenue. We think both of these are really great ideas to help scale up the MIC. There's a lot more amazing information from our benchmarking assessment in our report. And then once we've optimized the current systems, once there's more time and funding available, we can get to our Horizon 2 recommendations here, which include public-facing demonstrations. The MIC is, again, already doing really amazing stuff with this salvaged material. It would be great to be able to showcase that in a public space and really market what they're doing for prospective funders, formalize affordable housing partnerships, and expanding data collection and workforce expansion. And then here we're back to our vision of this hub of circularity, hub of sustainability. Our Horizon 3 recommendations, there's fewer of them, but they're just as strong. Policy adoption, really working with the city of San Antonio to maybe expand the deconstruction ordinance or working with them on affordable housing policy, site infrastructure development, and then robust revenue generation. Revenue is key. Looking at that leasing model we created, and we also created a sale of materials model to kind of showcase the possibilities that could happen if we could sell some of the material they are getting in these salvaged material. So some key takeaways here. The MIC is a really fantastic organization doing amazing work already, and we were doing our best to help provide recommendations to help them scale it through looking through financial partnerships, financial models and partnerships, and exploring maximizing the facilities. We provided 30 recommendations over 3 horizons with a primary focus on funding and operational maturity. The vision that they have is really fantastic, so hopefully some of our work can help get the MIC from where they are today to that final vision. Thank you.
Hey there, great presentation, and it looked really nice. It was very simple and clear. I'm curious if you were able to basically give them kind of a time frame for all 30 and kind of an overall cost that would, like the amount of fundraising that they would need to do to be able to get to the vision of that image with all its functionality.
We don't have like a full cost assessment, but we do have them, we have this 3 horizon model that really keeps it on a timeline. And what's nice about what the recommendations we've offered them is there's kind of like a pick and choose for whatever they have the capacity to do at the time. I know there's a ton on this slide, but there's really a lot of different opportunities for whatever makes sense for them scaling wise and whatever pathway they choose to go on.
Hi, thanks for your presentation. It's really clear. I wanted to know if the client agreed with the assumptions you made in the cost-benefit analysis, or were there like some pushbacks against the cost and what revenue sources were accessible?
That's a great question. We haven't fully showed our entire methodology to the client yet, but we did run through all of our assumptions from our CBA in our report, so they have like the full background. But you're right, there's a ton of assumptions in that. We're really just giving the big picture to kind of give some number for a value, but great question. Here's more context for the CBA.